Good evening and welcome to another episode of Apolitically Incorrect Guyana. My name is KIAN Jabouр and thank you guys for joining me on this beautiful Friday evening. I am also live on Instagram, on my own personal Instagram. So hello to everyone there. So we've had an interesting week. I trust everybody has had a wonderful short week. Monday was a holiday due to Independence falling on Sunday. And I know everybody. I know everybody was happy to be back to work after the long weekend because I feel like myself, you start to get a little unproductive after a few days off. But we're back. And on the flip side, happy that it's the weekend again, I guess. Human nature, that's, I guess, how we work, right? Programmed a certain way. So during the week, just on some really cool, interesting updates, Mr. Jonas, Mr. Timothy Jonas, who's usually with me, was I gotta bring up the pictures. He was what's the word? Sworn in as a member of the Constitutional Reform Commission. So that's really, really fantastic. I saw a couple other guys that were not there. Mr. Kamal Ramkaran, I think he's representing the Bar Association. And then there was Mr. Kioma Griffith, who was representing, I think, a Christian organization, a religious side of things, who's also a lawyer. And then there was, on the Constitutional Reform Commission itself, is a very interesting commission that I'm very excited to see. I haven't seen the picture come up yet. I guess, oh, there it is. So the picture came up. I'll switch this around for you guys. There is Mr. Jonas being sworn in. So just interestingly enough, he also on this commission, there is Mr. Anand Nandalal, our Attorney General. There is obviously very famous and prominent lawyer, Mr. Nigel Hughes. And there's a couple other interesting lawyers and very capable minds on this Constitutional Reform Commission. I'm very curious to see what comes out of it. All right, it is something that I think all the citizens of this country need to, I don't care what side you fall on, I don't care who you support, I don't care what you think you know. It's a very interesting commission that everybody should pay very keen attention to. Because of the makeup of the minds there, all very capable people. Again, unfortunately with different agendas, it's going to be interesting to see how much progress they make. I think that's the first step. But then to see who brings what to the table. And it's going, you know, Tim and I had this conversation and this country has only ever been ruled by two parties, the PNC, APNU, and the PPP. They both had an equal amount of time. Constitutional reform did happen one time many moons ago for a few things, I believe in the 90s. But the constitution of this country, just so as a little education, is obviously the highest laws of our land. It's what kind of gives us our fundamental rights as citizens. It's by all means the most important documents, the most important information, the most important, you know, regulations set out in order to ensure that all Guyanese citizens have certain rights. All of us are you know, the country's free and fair, and it stipulates quite a bit of basic human elements of our society, which make us a democracy. So it has a lot to do with the leadership of the land. It has a lot to do with our electoral process. It has a lot to do with, I mean, as you know from Tuete to Tuete, it has a lot to do with our rights as citizens of this country and what we're entitled to. So it's the most important document. Let me make another, you know, point to note. The Constitution cannot be changed unless 2/3 of Parliament agree to it. Okay, so 75% need to agree. 70% need to agree. I guess the technical number is 69.9%. Need to agree to need to sorry need to agree to ensuring that that those laws can be changed, that constitution can be changed. Now, we don't see it often because the two sides don't agree. And what's so interesting about that scenario is we often think that the PPP and the PNC have very different values, have very different ideas and plans and strategies of what keeps them in power and how they lead. But let me tell you what's extremely interesting to me is there are quite a few fundamental principles that you would believe can or should be changed within our constitution. And we're going to see them as time goes on. Simple things that, for example, led to the 2020 debacle. Well, obviously, you're going to sit there and say, well, APN, you don't want to change that. Well, the truth is, PPP has never proposed it. It's never been put on the table, because, for example, the makeup of our GCOM, just interesting scenarios like these that you believe would be very simple to ensure accountability for our president. That would, you would think, be very simple to put forward and make sure that the system is free and fair and all citizens have equal rights. But funny enough, you quickly realize that the Constitution is designed in such a way that it ensures that two parties stay in power at all times. And that's the core, that's the fundamental principles of our Constitution that are designed to ensure that only these two parties have a say in anything. Only these two parties, are given money, for example. Only these two parties have any sort of significant say in Parliament, for example. A core interesting example is independent parties, third parties in Parliament. So because of how Parliament is designed, all parties outside of the government, outside of the executive, fall under the opposition. Now, what's interesting about that is everything just speaks about the main opposition. Any other party in Parliament has no kind of authority, has no kind of system or protocol provided for it, because they make sure that that party falls within the system of the main opposition, of the two-party rules. Now, an example, if somebody in Parliament, want funding, for example, or wanted to put legislation down. Now, those types of things are all set in stone in the laws of the country, that basically any motion put forward either happens from the government or from the main opposition. So the chief whip, for example, of the main opposition would be the chief whip of the third party that's in Parliament. Now, I want you to understand why this is relevant, is because it essentially perpetuates the status quo. It makes sure that only these two parties can stay in power. They don't even give the opportunity to anybody else that may have won the votes. Even if they have a constituents, even if they have people they're representing, it doesn't matter, because all the decision making falls within these two parties. So all the parliamentary committees, for example, the PAC, the this, the that, all the nonsense, all of them just stay within these two parties. So it's very, very interesting when you sit down and you realize, wait a second, they only wanted to stay these two parties. And that's how you have to kind of begin your basis of understanding that the PPP and the PNC are no different. They just want to make sure they maintain control and power. And if they are not in power, they only want the other side to be in power. Only the PPP or PNC should be in power at any point in time. Now, if that doesn't lead you to understand that these two parties are identical, then you're choosing not to look at it. It's clear as day. It's how the laws of the land are set up. Again, I talked about campaign financing, for example, political financing, for example. So according to the laws of the country, the government, well, obviously they're the incumbent and they have, they're in control of all the money, which the laws by itself have to be changed upon. If you watched last week's show, you'd know. But then too, the laws dictate that the taxpayers give the main opposition, and it's called the Office of the Main Opposition, taxpayers funding as well. They are given money that taxpayers pay. So state funds, if you will. So the government has the entire, purse string of the government. And then every year, money is budgeted and allocated for the Office of the Main Opposition. Now, if that doesn't show you that they are only interested in two parties ever maintaining control of this country, I don't know what to tell you. So at some point in time, you have to realize that these two parties are only interested in making sure that they maintain control. And they pull the purse strings and they make sure that nobody else can have any say, and the whole country is divided and they conquer. And that's what it ends up being. That's all it ends up being. So at some point in time, we have to realize that for this country to really progress and move forward, we have to break that two-party system. Now, I went to a very interesting event on 2 days ago. I don't know what date it was. It was held at the Marriott. It was held by the UNDP in conjunction with the EU, and it was because the EU had. The EU has elections coming up for the European Union Parliament. The European Union Parliament is all the countries in the European Union that have put together this organization, the EU Parliament, in which 700 MEPs are voted in by all the countries in the EU. And not voted by the governments of those countries, but actually ran like an election inside of the country. So each citizen votes for the MEP that they want to send. MEP is their version of MP, of who they want to send to Parliament in the EU. And it was a really very interesting conversation because you got a chance to kind of see their structure. Bear in mind, the European Union is as old as time. They've been, founding principles of politics and democracy and that kind of thing. But just very interesting to learn a little bit more about. And one of the conversations I was had after and between, with private conversation, was a conversation we had about democracy and the principles of democracy. And one person, sat up and said, they don't believe a democracy exists when there's only two parties. They grew up in Europe, in all the various countries of Europe moving around, and they said, as far as they're concerned, a democracy can never be two countries. There has to be other people that have a say, whether it be other political points of views, whether it be, just representing different people for different reasons, the farmers, the teachers, and for any of you, that understand the politics around the world, they look at things, there's center, far left, far right, middle right, middle left, etc., and they kind of go all the way from, extreme points of view from communism right across to to absolute power to the people. But it's just a very interesting concept to learn about, and what you kind of figure out and you look around and you see is that there are different concepts out there. Now, another one that's very interesting, I know this is much more boring than you guys are accustomed to. Don't worry, I have a very interesting bit of Guyana drama to get to in a minute that I'm very upset about. But another interesting conversation that is going to be coming up soon is the Mexican elections are coming up. And the ambassador did get a chance to mention to me that they have a forum coming up within the next week or two in which they are going to be discussing elections in Mexico and their system and how their democracy is designed and their political electoral process is done and so on. So I'm going to be attending. I'm very interested in it. Particularly one of the things that I did read a little bit about, and I don't know anything about myself, which leads back to the political financing. All right. And one thing I understood from them, and I'll get more information soon as I go and get to ask my questions. But from what I understand, instead of, so what would traditionally happen, and we see it in America all the time and in Guyana, obviously, is there are private donors that give money to political parties, essentially to buy favors. So when somebody donates a whole bunch of money to a political party and they win, they back that pony and that pony win the race, then they are given certain, benefits, tax concessions, contracts, etc. We see it in America all the time with the big oil companies, with the pharmaceutical companies, etc. And it's just very interesting because what Mexico had done, from what I understand, again, I'll tell you more, is, and I know other countries have done it as well, but what they had done is they had said, well, instead of anybody being allowed to take private financing, so financing from citizens or donations, the government actually in their elections budget actually allocate a certain amount of money for each political party. And they basically give them a budget and say, look, here is $10 million, that's your budget. Everyone has to campaign within this $10 million budget. So when the time comes, you'll never have taken money from any private people. You'll never be able to, owe somebody or being caught in conflict of interest situations, etc. And I thought that was very interesting. Just as another type of dynamic, another potential system, because we all know that that's an issue that plagues this country. So again, things that can happen in the constitutional changes. So again, that situation, that Constitutional Reform Commission, I think we're going to be paying very close attention to, and I'm very excited to see where that leads. So, and I think one of the things I'm going to have Mr. Jonas on doing is explaining to us more and more and more what is going on within that process and that commission, because I think it'll be very interesting to see who's proposing what and who really has the benefit of the people at heart. So we'll learn more as we move along. All right, we're going to move into the wonderful show. Okay. Now, I would like to first bring up a situation that is big issue right now in this country. And for all of you that don't know, the mining sector is probably one of the biggest, is probably one of the most important sectors in this country. All right. The mining sector, through thick and thin, through everything this country has been in, the mining sector is what has carried this country on its back. All right. Followed closely by the rice industry. The mining sector has, as everybody knows, is far and above been the main income earner for Guyana, whether it be gold or diamonds, stone, whatever it is, it happened in our rich forested areas in this country. And anybody that knows anything about driving in the jungle or going into the bush, into the Baghdad, knows that it's a dangerous trek. The roads are not paved in any way, shape, or form. I mean, that process has begun. But for the most part, it's a mud road. And even when this road is done, from Linden to Mabura or Linden to all the way to Letem, at the end of the day, any tributary road, any other, side road, if you will still not be paved. All right. So you'll end up still with these heavy, long, dirt roads that are dangerous because a lot of them have rivers passing under them, or creeks or streams or whatever it may be. All right. And it's a situation that has always occurred in Guyana since the beginning of time. Since before we know ourselves, there has been bush roads, and the bush roads have been very lackadaisically maintained, poorly engineered, and, tend to fall apart anytime there's a little bit of a rainy season or too much dry season or both. And it always becomes a problem because of the lack of maintenance, etc. Now, this is a situation that is currently happening in Guyana. I'm going to ask to please bring up the pictures. Now, take a look at this. This is the current roads. This is the current situation right now on the roads from Linden to Letem. All right. These roads are traveling straight through the jungle, as you can tell, and there is a that little thing. There is a truck in the middle of that waterway. Leave it up for a bit because I want to talk about it. Because just keep rotating the pictures if you want. Now, let's talk about what everyone is seeing here. Now, that looks like a road that has broken away, water has hit it, right? And you sit down there and you say, oh, that's terrible. They had a lot of rain. Now, let's start with the basics. The first thing is we know we had a whole year of a dry season over the last couple months, okay? A whole year, couple months, almost to a year of dry, bone dry season. Now, I said on this show many times that the world is balanced. The planet is balanced, okay? Mother Nature is balanced. Obviously, if there's this dry of a season, for all of you that remember me saying this, there's obviously going to be that of a rainy season. There has to be an equal response to that. It's how nature works. So, now, with that in mind, we knew this was coming. Let's start there. You know rain is coming. It's not a secret. You know rain was coming. Now, they had a whole year to build road because you build roads in the weather, in the rainy season. You can come back to me if you... Oh, no, not yet. Don't come back to me because I need to point out what I'm saying. So you had the whole year to build this road. And when you look at this picture and you just look just slightly above, let me show you guys here. When you look slightly above that, you see that there's a bridge right behind where this road has washed away. There, I think he's zooming in a little bit for y'all. That's a bridge where those cars are, okay? And right below it is the washaway, okay? Where all the water broke the road away. Now that you've seen that there's a bridge, you can go to the next picture just to confirm. Oh, bring back up the one. I just like to confirm that everyone saw a road, a bridge. So that's a bridge right at the top part of the picture there. All right, and you can change the next one. And just to confirm with everybody, because I'm sorry, this is right behind it, as you can tell once again, that's a bridge. Now, the road has broken away right next to the bridge. This brand new bridge that the government just spent millions, no, scratch that, hundreds of millions of dollars building. And I mean just because, let me tell you something, I go in the bush a lot, okay? I go in a lot, okay? At least once a month I try to get in the bush. And I drive all the way to Kurupakari, which is halfway to Linden. Every rodeo I go out, drive all the way to Lethem. I spend lots of time in the bush, okay? My family was big into mining. I like hunting and fishing. I just like to be out there as much as I can be. Now, what we know about the bush is that although the weather patterns change, how the environment reacts to it doesn't change that much, okay? It does not change that much. So let me tell you what happened here. This here was this brilliant government that decided that they know more about bush roads than everybody else. Took on some engineers that don't know shit about building bush roads and reading the lay of the land, and they decided to let them build and repair and all these contracts that they give their friends and the family, and let them build road, all right, and build bridge. Tech contract, man, y'all build. And you know what they did? They built a shitty road next to a shitty bridge. And guess what? Mother Nature stepped in and said, wait a second, I don't travel through that area where the bridge is. This is the area I travel. This is the area I have always traveled. Because when you're in the bush, you could go and see, whenever dry even, you could see where the water was running. If you're in the bush anytime before the last year, you could see where all the water running. So you know where the water was going to be running. So for you to go and build a bridge where no water ain't running like a jackass, then guess what? You thought you were smarter than Mother Nature, but you weren't. Now, let me get to my frustration. I'm going to bring up a picture with somebody crossing a bridge, okay? Right where this accident happened. And look at this. Let me show y'all this one, man. Now, who can tell me who this is? That person right there is the minister within the Ministry of Public Works that is now in the thick of things. Boots off, walking through, trying to take a photo op. Okay? That's what that shit is. It is a photo op. None of these people know anything what they're doing in there. And if there's one thing I can argue, is that them being there don't help nothing. Because if they wanted to do something, they should have hired the right people to begin with to go and build a proper road and a proper bridge, okay? Then we would not have had this problem. If the bridge was in the right place, this would not have happened, okay? Now we continue to show these stupid pictures of them going there and pretending, oh my gosh, don't worry, we're here to solve the problem. They ain't here to solve shit. They caused the problem by giving their friends and the family these contracts, by doing a whole set of nonsense in which they don't know one thing that they're doing. And let me make this clear. I'm not sitting here saying I'm a professional, but you better believe there are many, many people out there that don't want corrupt contracts, are honest, decent people out there that are working in this country that will do that job and do it perfectly. And I could probably promise you it'll be for half the price. Okay? Because that is bullshit. That was designed to fail. Okay? They do not know what they're doing. And that there is risking people's lives. Okay? Because the road, the water don't just start traveling in new places all of a sudden. Ask any miner on the planet. Ask any bushman on the planet. You know how gold is travel? You know how gold is move? You know there's fine gold on the land? Because gold is travel with water. Okay? So when they go into them creek beds, that is where the gold is. And it didn't gold don't show up overnight. It takes hundreds of years for gold to show up and be produced, okay? And to find its way into the stream. Well, guess what? That means water been traveling there for hundreds of years. So you come all of a sudden, you think the water decide, oh shucks, look at you bridge man, let me just choose a different route. You think that's what the water do? It didn't do that. That bridge was in the wrong place. That is poor engineering. That is a waste of taxpayers' money. And now coming and taking picture like, don't worry, I here to see what's going on. Well, it's y'all clunks get a contract in the first place. So you being there, who don't know nothing about building Bush Road, what you doing that and getting in the people way and taking picture with no boots standing on a piece of wood? Trying to say, look, I reach partner. Look, I come to do walk here. Tell me what's the problem. You don't know what's the problem. Or if you knew what the problem was, this would have never happened in the first place. Why didn't get up and go and see when they're building it if you know? That's your job. But guess what? Here we are. And everybody's saying, oh my gosh, look at this, look at this. The government is so... People keep saying that the government is proactive. The government is reactive. Okay? The government causes a problem by building a bridge in the wrong place and a shitty road. And then they show up and say, oh my gosh, look at the problem. Don't worry, we can fix it with y'all money. And everybody goes, yay! Oh my gosh, look how great this government is. Look, pictures of them in the bush. Wow, these guys are really working hard. Shut up. If you were one of those people, you really are an idiot. Yes, yes, I've insulted you. I know you feel bad about it. And I know you feel like, you know, I don't run... Somebody has to tell you people how stupid you are. If you believe that they out there working hard after they show up, after the road done wash away from a year-long dry season that they had all that time to fix the road, and all of a sudden this problem happened, you think that that bridge right behind it is not where the issue is, and that the fact that that bridge is in the wrong place, then something is really wrong with you. You are not an intelligent person and you should not be commenting on anything. Just use common sense. Okay? That sounds bad. I know. I have to be a little bit more... Timothy Jonas tells me all the time I need to be a little bit more tact, a little bit more tasteful. But it's so ridiculous now. And they're going to go and give another one of their friends and family a $100 million contract for going and fix the problem that they created. That just sounds like good business to me. You know, if nothing at all, these men are good businessmen. Because they sure as ass don't know how to fix a road or build a bridge. But they are good businessmen. Now, let me actually hammer this home, because you know I'm a man. I can't just give one example, because then I just feel like, man, people, you just catch the one situation that look bad. Robbie, bring up the Thomas Lance picture there for me, man. Let them read it. So just to dash this one out on you, let me zoom in for my Instagram people. Thomas Lance closed for 2 weeks for rehab. In a notice, the Ministry of Public Works said it has engaged the contractor, blah, blah, blah. We should all check up on who's JKP, to undertake the rehabilitation of Thomas Lance. The closure is from the African Cultural and Development Association all the way to Queen's College. So, for all of you that don't know where Thomas Lance is, Thomas Lands is between YMCA and Queen's College. Now, I want you all to tell me when was the last time that road was fixed? Just think about it. When was the last time Thomas Lands Road was fixed? Right where the track is by the National Park and GMR and SE, all the way forward to Guyana, all the way back to QC and YMCA. This is the 4th consecutive year in a row that this road was fixed. Every single year for the last 4 years, this road has had construction and rehabilitation done on it. Okay? 4 years in a row. All right, everybody that drives that road and knows what I'm talking about. To the point, let me remind you guys about something. When the government first went into office, they actually said that they are putting down a new material underneath that road that will stop it from breaking apart. Do we all remember this? Does anybody not remember this? Now, here's what you can understand it. If you go to Thomas Lands right now and you look at how the road is breaking up, it's breaking up in these very weird, like pentagons, these very weird shapes in like pockets all over, and it is a complete joke because that is the material that they claimed was going to hold this road together. And every year for 4 years this road has had to have been fixed. Now, you know me, I like to be solution based. I can't just laugh and make fun because I know this is what you guys like. But the reason this road keeps breaking apart is because there is no retainer wall between the gutter, the trench, and the road. So what it is this built up dam, okay? And then they roll a roll on it and throw some sand, and then they throw tarmac on top. They throw asphalt on top. Now, if you don't have retainer walls, if you don't have walls along the side of the road, then every time a car, a truck, or anything, or a rainfall, then that material at the side of the road, that little grassy patch between the road and the concrete and the gutter, that little grassy patch will start to slowly disintegrate and slowly break away. And when the foundation of the road breaks away because the vibration and all the mud and everything slipping into the gutter, then the top, the tarmac road, will keep breaking apart. It will keep happening. I am not a road expert by any means. This is common sense. But much like the bridge previously in the bush, I guess they gotta keep giving their friends jobs. They got to keep giving their partners contracts. This is the only thing that's logical. This is the only thing that makes sense. Because anybody can tell you this. This is the most basic stuff possible. So it really is fantastic. You know what? I have my comments here, and I encourage all of you guys out there to go read the comments on Facebook because it really bothers a lot of these fake, these PPP accounts. What I say. So the one that I got quickly here is KIAN Jabour, the new contractor of Guyana. He suddenly became an expert on roads and infrastructure by a fake account. I'm not an expert. I studied engineering in school. I did work in construction for a while. I'm not an expert, but honestly, there are definitely experts out there that can be hired. And it sure as ass is not the minister walking with you barefoot across a broke down bridge that just washed away. Okay? That's what I can promise you. Okay? So at some point in time, you know, y'all reading these things, it's ridiculous. more PPP. Shut up. You are not a professional. So there's so many of them. It's all I can do. All I can do, it's fun to read the comments nonetheless. You guys keep it coming because I know, especially to the PPP people, it really bothers you guys when I show these things up, right? Because it shows the rest of the country the kind of garbage that your PPP government is doing. And it really frustrates you guys. And I know you guys have to come on here and make your comments. So look at them here. Oh, and now they have to, guys, and just in case you're wondering, if they don't turn to personal attacks, Timothy Jonas is my girlfriend, and bringing up, oh, I'm an abuser. They just make sure that they just have to bring these things up to make sure we cannot allow what Kian is saying to have any validation. And the PPP pay them, by the way. There's an office in office of the Prime Minister. It's out of there because it's Kwame Nkrumah's office, and in which they pay people to actually, I think, well, I know a couple of years ago it was I saw a contract. There's $160,000 a month, and they actually pay their supporters, you know, their really loyal supporters, to go and make fake accounts. Come into the office, they get them a laptop, they get them free internet, you know, lunch, wherever it is, and then they get a little stipend, they 160 a month or wherever it's work out to. And those people actually come on and they have to make fake accounts, and they have to come and comment in on people like mine and stuff. That's just their job. That's what they have to do. So that's how this game is played. You know, I don't mean to, you know, show up everybody's, you know, tactics, but they're paid to come on here and make these comments, because when people see the shit that's going on, you quickly realize, wait a second, we have to combat this information. We have to personally attack them. We have to take away credibility, or at least validation of what they're saying somehow. So go ahead, they're fun to read. I browse them every now and again just to make sure when I read a lot of them, like at the end of the show, if I get a lot of comments, I know that, you know, that one really hit them hard. And with that being said, I'd also like to thank all the people out there. ANUG has had a huge influx recently of membership. We've had a lot of people getting on board, and I'd really just like to thank everybody who's, you know, really at this point in time, well, they've realized, you know, the government being in there for long enough, APNU is a waste of time. And they realized that, you know, we have to get on board with something else if we want something better. So ANUG is growing significantly, and I'd like to really thank everybody who's getting on board now. And then more particularly, you know, for those that are getting a little bit more active, you know, that are going to start soon helping our house-to-house campaigns, you know, that are getting on board with our social media stuff. You know, we have a lot of people that are putting in a lot of effort, in which you're going to start hearing our social media people, you know, a couple of people from TikTok and so on. So really happy that more people are getting on board. Thank you, guys. We are definitely going to be there in 2025. All right. And I'm going to show you why we're going to be there in 2025. The next one was from Newsroom, which is a sustainability project that the Ministry of Public Works And then just to add a little bit of comic relief to the entire scenario, here is the Ministry of Public Works host training on sustainable road design. I just want to make sure that all of you understand how government media works. I would like to say something as well. If you vote for ANUG, for ANUG, a New and United Guyana, and a New and United Guyana gets that minority government, gets that minority parliament, and ensures that the government and the opposition have to be held accountable, and that they have to stop stealing, and they have to stop giving their friends and family contracts, and they have to ensure that the citizens of this country are put forward. If ANUG gets that all-important third seat and ensures that there is a minority parliament and the government has to be held accountable, one of the first things I promise you, KIAN JABOUR, I promise you that I will be pushing for personally, is to ensure that this government, or any government here on out, does not have something called state media. Okay? So all the money that's put into the Chronicle, the DPI, the NCN, the hundreds of millions of taxpayers' dollars, in which they just give their friends and their families jobs, and their party cronies jobs, the people that are no common, you know, we saw APNU do it with their people, and, you know, they just take over the state media and they start push out all the nonsense. If you read Chronicle on any given day, if you read NCN, watch NCN on any given day, it's just bullshit, right? I mean, please, can anybody show me the last time Newsroom, for example, has had a negative comment about the government? It doesn't exist, because they're state-run media, right? They are working on an agenda, and I just like that nonsense. Imagine the Ministry of the Ministry of Public Infrastructure is holding a seminar on sustainable road development, because all the roads that they have built between now and when they got into power in 2020 have gone to trash, but they can teach us about sustainable road development. We got to get rid of the propaganda. Okay, we have to stop it. That $160,000 that they keep giving their party people to make fake accounts and come on here and write things, then that, for example, we will stop. Okay? We will put a stop to it. It will not be paid for by taxpayers. All right? If the PPP want to pay them or the APNU want to pay their people, let them pay them from their own pockets. They will not be using government money to do that. They will not be using taxpayers' money to do that. Okay? So at some point in time, these types of things have to stop. All right? We're realizing quickly that there is no accountability. All right, we're watching things go from one shitty situation to the next, and it's the next one I'm going to bring up here. Obviously, Rob, you can bring up the next one. That is a situation that obviously has to teachers. I'm sorry, Robbie and I try to have a schedule, but it doesn't always work. Here's the next headline. I'll show you guys this headline as well. So it says, Minister of Education Priya Manichan today said her ministry is prepared and ready to continue engaging Guyana Teachers Union in an effort to end the current strike action between teachers. However, made it clear that the teachers must return to the classrooms to allow negotiations to take place. Now, we are in 2024, right? We are in 2024. Just out of curiosity, how come you didn't raise the teachers' pay between 2020 and 2024? It's just questions like that I really wonder sometimes. Like, now that the teachers on strike 4 years later into your term, when you've had oil money the whole time, yeah, money's not a problem. We more rich than God, as Biden likes to say, right? I don't understand. Why haven't you raised their salaries to a livable wage between 2020 and now? So because these teachers have decided they had no more and they cannot live in this country with the high cost of living, with the shitty salary that you're giving them, let's not forget your 6.5% raise in 2023. Embarrassing, I know. I feel it too. And don't worry, the commenters are going to try and defend it. But it's ridiculous. You don't sit down here now and say that the teachers have to go back. This is the only option they had left. They've waited 4 years for you to do something better for them. You've done nothing. You have no right to tell those teachers what to do. You have enough money. Your government has enough money. You want to play big minister and drive around a big fancy vehicle, got big Prada bag or whatever ass you're wearing, and the teachers don't deserve better? They have to go back to work before you talk to them. Who are you? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you are? You work for the people of this country. You don't dictate that their lives must punish until you're good and ready. That's the bullshit. That's the problem with the country. These people feel that they're gods. These people feel like they're big and they're above everybody else. That's piss. All right? You have no moral authority to speak to anybody. You had 4 years and then 5 years they didn't do shit. And then you had 20 years plus before they never do nothing for them people. Now you come in and tell the people you not negotiate until they go back to the classroom. Shut up. Get your ass up and open open the book. We as the citizens demand you give the people more money. Okay, it's we money. It's not even you money. It's we money. Give the people more money. Give them more money. Okay? Stop with this bullshit now. The children are suffering because you refuse to give them more money because you think it's you money. Use God. You run everything in this country. Give the people their money. That's bullshit. And this country got to wake up and y'all got to start speaking up more. Right? Because it's our children that's suffering. All right? The people that can't go to work because they got to stay home and look after the children now because they can't leave them at home alone. You know how much this is affecting our economy and the people's lives? But you know what's interesting? At this point in time, after watching this go back and forth, you know what I quickly realized? That this is what people want. This is the shit that the PPP and the PNC do, and the two of them playing a game back and forth, and the people suffering, and the people sitting down there crying out, and the people and the two of them in the offices talking to one another like they care. It matter to them. They got enough money. The taxpayers fund APNU and they fund the government, so they don't care. Their children good. They got nannies. They'll pay for maid. All them things paid for. They get government housing. They get driver. They don't care. Okay. Is your children suffering and you staying home and you losing money, you sinking further while the two of them playing their own stupid game. So guess what? I can only guess that this is what you want. That's all this can be. At some point in time, you got to stop the bullshit. You have to stop voting for these people. They are not doing anything better to make anybody's life better. They go and they put on a show like this. And what, you think they're working? They're going to stand up on a bridge after a road broke down that they built to pretend to be savior. They're not doing shit. Get that through your head. The country ain't better. The 10 people out there that are doing better is the ones that the government is their friends and the family. If you're an honest, hard-working person, then you ain't doing better. I know that, you know that. Okay? Start to vote different. Put your X next to anybody except PPP and PNC. They are not doing better for this country. It's over now. You people have to wake up. You have to start doing something different. It's the only way. The children are suffering. You know, I always like to bring this up just in case. Okay? Our children in particular, because it's why I do it. Whether it be the orphanages that get $400,000 a year each, why up to this day and age do they still get that money? You tell me, with all the oil money, all the riches we got, why they only the orphanages? The orphanages, the weakest of our society in the context of they cannot help themselves. The children who cannot help themselves are given $400,000 a year. Other than that, they rely completely on donations from the private sector. Bullshit. Let's talk about our education system that the same minister is surrounded and claim is great. Why nobody talking about the 50% of children that fail math and English every single year that common entrance is written? Why you don't talk about the 30% of children that finish actually write common entrance, go into high school? The 30% that don't even finish high school. That is over 70% of this population that don't finish high school. And if you cut that in half, are illiterate. Cannot do basic math or English. That is the country we got. Then you got the president running around screaming about training programs and learn to well and this shit and that shit. They can't even read or write. Check most of the police force. Check most of the construction and labor industry. Can't read and write. Give me a break. They're not doing shit. The Madia fire happened. You tell me how many schools, how many areas, them new communities that they're building, how many of them even got fire hydrants? All them young professionals and all them house poor income areas and high income areas, how many of them even got fire hydrants? You tell me, our sidewalks for that matter. Give me a break. They're not doing shit. They're putting on a facade. Oh, we're going to plant coffee now again. We're going to resurrect it. This is what we're doing. The same thing we do in shitty guys, Suko. I tell you, what was the other thing? They're selling to cassava to Brazil. They're selling farine to Brazil. Nobody in Brazil ain't buying farine because they produce it at half the cost we do. So give me a break. Stop lying. With a black belly sheep there. Stop lying. And more importantly, to the people of Guyana, wake up. Wake up. You don't see that this is all just bullshit, it's just a game, it's nonsense. You have to start realizing what's going on in this country. Okay? It's all a facade. Nobody life get it. How come they low duties on vehicles yet? How come VAT ain't low yet? How come PAYE ain't low yet? Yet you giving people 6.5% last year and everybody must be good? Y'all and cost of living gone through the roof. Well, you can't even buy a coconut in these days now because they're so expensive. But all y'all out there trying to pretend and watching all the flipping comments, all the people who trying to defend all of these idiots, all the government. Yes, I read one comment here by a fake account. I have anger management. You're right, I do. Because at the end of the day, when everybody in this country is being robbed and screwed, somebody has to say something. And yes, it does make me angry because my daughter grows up here. Okay, my daughter lives in this country. Okay, and if I can't at least attempt to give her a better life, then I'm failing as a parent. Okay, this is my way of ensuring she has a secure future. That she don't got to need to worry every time she walk down the road that somebody and two boys on a motorbike or somebody gonna rob her. Okay? Somebody gonna kick down her door in the apartment that she gotta get to live in when she become independent and goes off on her own. All right? My daughter got to be able to, education is free in this country. My daughter has to have at least a respected education if she goes to UG. Okay? That is my job. Okay? To make sure the education system that she is in is as good as it can be. Okay? I gotta ensure that when she gets sick and goes to the hospital, it is taken care of properly. Okay, that she will be able to get the best service possible. That is my job as a father, because I'm not a doctor and I can't do it. Okay, I'm not a policeman and I can't protect her at all points in time. Okay, I'm not a teacher. I can't sit on a homeschooler. So I at least have to try. Okay, and this is how I have to try. So if that makes me angry, then yes, I am angry. I'm sorry. Because I will do whatever I have to do to make sure my daughter's life is good. And if you guys don't care about your children and you're going to continue to vote for PPP and PNC, then that is your decision. I don't care. Okay, I'm going to do my best, and I hope that there are people on board and there are people that realize that we have to do something different. We have to vote something different. Then that's my mission. Okay, that's what it is at the end of the day. All right, so for you out there that want to say I need to deal with my anger, I think we need to deal with the government and how much this country is sinking, how much the people are suffering, okay, and how much better we have to become. All right? It's unfortunate. It's super, super unfortunate. But on that note, I like to end on a high. Guys, I was told I only have 5 minutes, and I will say this loud and clear. At some point in time, people have to start taking responsibility for each other, and they have to start being more careful on the roadways. Okay? I'm actually going to get a little political here because this is what I think everybody has to know. We are having total and complete carnage on our roadways. It is worse than anything. People are dying every single day on our roads. Every day. If they're not dying on the road, then somebody robbing them, somebody shooting them, somebody getting murdered. But let me tell you what all of this is stemming from. It is stemming from the police not doing their jobs. It is stemming from corruption. Okay? If people can drive as fast as they want and not get into trouble if they got 5,000, if people can drink and drive and not get into trouble because they could pay a 10,000, then this is going to continue. Don't you understand that? People follow the rules everywhere in the world because they are scared to break them, because there will be repercussions to their actions. Their license will get taken away. They will go to jail. Okay? All of these things, they will get fined lots and lots of money. This is what happens around the world. That's why people follow the rules. But guess what? If anybody's allowed to do anything they want on the roads, then there will be no rules. Then everybody will just do whatever they want and people will keep dying. Do you understand that? Because all the rules exist. There are speed limits. There are traffic lights. There are laws against drinking and driving, but people will keep doing them because if the police stop them, I got $5,000, I can deal with it. Because the police are underpaid and uneducated and no training, and it's just a waste of time. And it starts all the way from the top, all the way to the bottom. Okay? It's that simple. Okay? If you don't understand that logic, then I can't help you, because that's all it is. All right? Basic and simple as that. That's what has to change. The police force has to stop being corrupt. The government has to stop being corrupt because it starts all the way at the top, all the way down. Pure corruption. Anybody doing anything they want. Lawlessness. Any bus man could drive off the road, up the shoulder of the road. Anybody could drive anywhere they want. Run through a red light. Anything they want, overtake on a double line, anything they want. Anybody who doing construction, oh, big construction boom, we're doing great. They could just drop their sand in the middle of the road and nothing don't happen. Nothing don't come of it. So guess what, guys? People will keep dying because there are no rules. Okay? Get that through your heads at some point. Okay? Same thing with crime. Crime? Who's get catch for crime in this country? Who's stopped people from robbing people? How many criminals you see get catch? Them motorbike man, you hear from them? You ever hear, oh, police, once, few and far between? Every single day people getting robbed? Nobody doing their job, nobody care. But yet they gotta run behind all of these little people, politics, and who got this issue and who doing the cyber crime and so. Okay, who cares? People dying. Are you going to do your job in that respect, or you can just run behind things that don't matter? It's just a waste of time. Y'all gotta get this through y'all heads at some point. It's a waste of time. All right, we quickly seeing there's no accountability and that the governments have no care for the people, and this is what's going to continue. I'm hoping all of you will quickly wrap your heads around this. All right. On that note, I'm going to close off here, guys. I'd like you all to have a wonderful, safe weekend. Please be very, very careful. On a good, super nice note, Champions League final is tomorrow. Please come down to Takaloko and watch. We're going to have a huge crowd there. But it's going to be lots of fun. All the football guys are there. And I know there's a big one between Dortmund and Real Madrid. And I know everybody, we all look forward to this day, at least the football guys at this point in time. Every year we look forward to it. So you guys be careful. Please ease with the drinking and driving. I know everybody out having fun, but please be careful out there, guys. I will be back here next Friday with you all to chat a little bit more. I'm asking an interesting guest to come on, so I hope we have a different perspective soon. All right, on that note, take care, guys. Have a very safe weekend. Have a wonderful weekend. Take care.